Okay, if there's one term in tech right now that's just impossible to escape, it's AI agents. But what are they really, and how are they different from the AI we've all gotten used to? Let's break it all down.
I mean, it feels like this word just exploded overnight, right? It's everywhere, in articles, on social media, in tech demos. Agentic workflows, AI agents. It's a whole lot to take in, and honestly, it can get pretty confusing fast.
So what does it all actually mean? Well, that's what this explainer is all about. We're going to demystify this big shift towards agents for anyone who uses AI tools and wants to get what's happening. We're going to make it simple. To get there, we're going to follow a really simple learning path. We'll start with what's familiar, the world of chatbots. Then we'll build on that to understand AI workflows. And finally, we'll take that big leap into what makes AI agents so different. It's a clear, step-by-step journey.
All right, let's dive right in with Level 1, the foundation. This is all about the AI chatbots we're all pretty familiar with by now, which are built on what are called large language models, or LLMs.
So, popular tools like ChatGPT or Google Gemini, they're all built on these LLMs. The whole concept is really straightforward. Someone provides an input and the LLM spits out an output. For instance, asking it to draft a polite email is the input, and boom, the email it writes is the output. Simple enough. But this is where we hit a wall. What happens if that same chatbot gets asked a personal question, like, when is my next coffee chat? We don't even need to see the answer to know it's going to fail. But why is that? And that's because LLMs have two really key limitations. First, they just don't have access to private information, things like a personal calendar or a company's internal data. And second, they're completely passive. They just wait for a prompt, give a response, and that's it. Let's keep these two things in mind.
So, moving on to Level 2, let's see how we can start to solve these problems by adding some instructions. This brings us to the world of AI workflows, where the AI is basically just following a set of rules that a person created.
The solution is what we call a human-defined path. We can literally tell the model, hey, anytime there's a question about a personal event, the first thing to do is go look at Google Calendar. So now when asked about that coffee chat, it can actually give the right answer because it has a new instruction. Check the calendar first.
But this system is still super rigid. What if the very next question is about the weather for that coffee chat? The workflow will sail all over again. And why? Well, because the path we defined only leads to the calendar, which, of course, doesn't have weather info. AI workflows can only follow the specific paths they're given.
And here's a quick pro tip. There's a term that gets thrown around a lot. RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. It sounds super complex, but all it really means is giving the AI a way to look things up from an outside source before it answers. So RAG is basically just a very common type of AI workflow.
Now, this is a fantastic real-world example using a tool called Make.com. It is a classic workflow. Step 1, compile a bunch of article links in a Google Sheet. Step 2, use one AI to summarize them. Step 3, use a different AI to draft social media posts. And Step 4, schedule the whole thing to run every single morning. Every single step here is explicitly laid out by a human.
But here's the final limitation, and it's a big one: the human bottleneck. If this workflow runs and the social media post just isn't very good, a person has to go back in and manually change the prompts to try and make it better. That whole process of trial and error is still totally manual. And that brings us to our final level.
And now for the most exciting part, Level 3, the leap to autonomy. This is where the AI stops just following instructions and starts making its own decisions. Welcome to the world of AI agents. So what's the one massive change that's needed? What's the secret ingredient that transforms a rigid, step-by-step workflow into a truly autonomous agent?
This is it. This is probably the single most important sentence in this entire explainer. An AI workflow becomes an AI agent when the human decision maker gets replaced by the LLM itself. So instead of just following our steps, the AI starts creating the steps.
This gives the agent all new abilities. The very first one is the power to reason. It can actually think about the best way to get to a goal. It might ask itself, what's the most efficient way to handle these articles? Should I just copy-paste everything, or would it be better to just compile the links? The second ability is to act. The agent can choose and then use different tools to make its plan a reality. It might decide, you know what? Google Sheets is way better for this link compiling job than Microsoft Word, so I'm going to use that. It's not just following a script anymore, it's choosing the right tool for the job.
And what's really interesting here is how this demystifies another piece of jargon, the React framework. It sounds fancy, but it's literally just a combination of the two abilities we just covered, reason and act. It's so much simpler when it's broken down like that.
And finally, the third and maybe the most powerful ability of all, to iterate. Remember that human bottleneck we talked about? Well, an agent gets rid of it. It can critique its own work all by itself. It might say, this draft isn't good enough. I'm going to add a critique step based on best practices and just keep rewriting it until it's great. No human needed.
Okay, that was a lot to take in, so let's put it all together now with a simple side-by-side comparison of everything we just learned. This table really clarifies the whole journey. At level 1, we have the chatbot, just a passive responder. At level 2, the workflow follows a path where the human is the one making all the decisions. But at level 3, the agent takes over. The LLM itself becomes the decision maker, giving it the power to reason, act, and iterate all on its own.
And this all leads to one final, pretty thought-provoking question. We've gone from simple chatbots to these autonomous systems that can think and improve by themselves. So now that this technology is here, the really big question is, what kinds of goals are we going to hand over to it next? That's definitely something to think about.